I honestly have no freaking words, Lance. None, bud. Absolutely none. That was a new meaning of piss poor. Right? Even in the third, it just they weren't trying. They didn't want to play. They didn't want to be in that game. They did not want to play tonight, and it showed. And that takes piss poor to a new level, my friend.
Yeah, it happens from time to time where you get blown out, but you don't like to see it when you get blown out, and it's because you just have no heart during the game. I know that John Kelly didn't want to say it at the end of the game, saying that they played like trash, and Darren Payne saying, well, they didn't play very good. Well, that's an understatement. And
Yeah.
I wanted them to come out and do some type of a statement that, well, yeah, you beat us this time, but get ready for us, and 2 days from now, we're going to be waiting for it's going to be different. And, in all actuality, Calgary wasn't really trying really hard in the third period, and the Blues still looked bad in the third period.
Hey, Tammy, can you send me a message on Facebook? I need to talk to you about something if you don't. Thank you. I know it was a bad game. Just got to get ready for Thursday. It's a home and home, right? And you do. Bennington just gave the team a death stare leaving the bench. I hope so. I hope he goes in that locker room and he throws everything at him and says, I don't know what your fucker's problem is with me, but talk it out right now. Pardon the language. And I feel like that when someone does the crap they do on Facebook, that's what I feel like saying to them. Right? Like the jackhole that's kicked me out of the Blues hockey history and some other groups. He's an admin in like 10 groups, and every group he's an admin of, he's kicked me out of just because he doesn't like me. I want to say, I want to do that to him, just saying, stop being personal.
I'm going to say one thing. There's two things, and this is all I'm going to say. He's either very good at what he does, being an admin and with a bunch of different groups, or he leads such a boring life that that's all he's got in his life. Because it does take a lot of time to admin 10 groups.
No, he just has nothing else to do other than drink.
Oh, great.
He's an alcoholic. He's a straight up alcoholic who hates himself, so in case he hates me. So, that's what it is.
There's no room for that.
No, there isn't. And especially when you destroy the memory of someone who just passed too.
Yeah, and
thank you, Tammy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you have so many things going on in the world today, and this is a game, guys. Do we take it serious? Yeah, but we realize in the back of our minds, it's a game.
Nick. Hey, Nick, you know what? We are talking about the Blues, but I got to tell you, when people treat me the way they treat me sometimes, and I have this platform, I'm going to use it, right? And I apologize if that upsets you. I really do. But, and we can get back. We can get back to the game. We'll get back to the game. I said my piece. We're done with it.
Yeah.
The Blues just weren't ready to play tonight. And we talked about it in the pregame. We straight up said, what's going to come into this? Right? Who's going to show up? Are the defense going to show up? And they didn't. They didn't show up right from the get-go. They had that one goal that Bozak scored, and they quit playing right after that.
Yep.
Right? They quit playing right after that, and that was the end of it. And I don't know what else to say. I don't even want to look at the stats because they're freaking horrible.
Yeah, and I like the fact, I think it was Panger that said nobody. He didn't say, oh, this person had a decent game. This person really worked hard. He said nobody played well. And Darren Payne normally doesn't like to be that negative. He really doesn't.
I know.
But we can't find anything good in this game. There's nothing good. I know you say there's good losses. And bad losses. I don't agree with that per se because I used to play. And when you play, there's nothing that's called a good loss. But I do understand what you're saying. There's good things to be taken out of a loss. There is nothing good to be taken out of this loss.
I don't know why, Jason. Jason, try it from Guy Bensing. I think we're still friends, so you should be able to see it from there. And get it from there, and then you'll be able to see a lot of the comments. And we try and show all the comments. We really do. We saw this coming last night and was hoping it wouldn't. And Chris, that's to say, we talked about it last night. Jim Siegel, my buddy, says very disappointing game. The real test will be Thursday in St. Louis, and I agree.
Yeah, and you know what I'm going to say. Let's look, and I know you will, and I will, and a lot of Blues fans will. Let's see how they come out in the first 10 minutes of this game Wednesday. If they come out flat and go down 2 or 3-0, then you've got to look at some people in the eye in the locker room and say what's going on. Even if it's just 2 bad games, you lose games. You lose games you play well in. It happens. But to lose this way, and it just didn't look like, you can tell when a team is either too tired or doesn't want to be somewhere. And like you said, besides that Bozak goal, I can honestly say though, looking at Bozak, besides that goal, I think he had a decent game. He was trying all night long.
Yeah.
Wasn't great, but he was trying all night long. And when that's the best thing you can say is your third.
I give Costin a
Costin
C plus B
bad.
minus in this game.
Yeah.
He was getting pushed around a lot and he pushed back. Yeah. So I didn't Mikkola. Now here's what concerns me. This is the moment where we find out what Berube we have, because he's got everybody now. Got everybody back. Prunovic is slightly injured. He could be back. I know he's working on things, but Mikkola had a bad game. He was -5, right? But Mikkola didn't play bad. It was just everything around him. He couldn't do anything right? He had a stick break on him. He blew a tire. It was just a disaster game. Now, with that being said, sat him the entire third period. Okay. That's it. You need to end it there. If you put him in the press box next game, I'm going to be pissed off, because you didn't teach him anything other than you better play your ass off or you're going home.
And you know what? Here's the thing: guys make mistakes. Yeah. Young players make mistakes. You want to minimize those mistakes and teach them how not to make those mistakes. When you got a guy that has played almost every game since he's come back and played pretty well in my mind, to sit him, if they do sit him Wednesday, it's the wrong message to be sending. The right message to be sending to him is, bad game, get back out there on the ice and let's forget it. I
absolutely agree with that, but that's not the message that Berube's sending the past.
I hope not. I hope he doesn't go the other way.
He had a worse game. Ian Oman says, oof, you hate these scores like that. Ian, only unless it's against the Wild. Against the Wild, we love scores like that. He's a Wild fan. He knows I'm joking with him. Other than when he was out from COVID, he's been planning the whole time. Playing the whole time. No, I'm talking about last season. Last season, Mikkola spent the majority of the season in the press box. It's just been this season where he's been able to get in there. And
you know what? A lot of it's got to do.
Go and win 8-2 tonight. Figures.
Hey, a lot of what's going on in there too is that Berube's had no choice but to play him with COVID and with injuries, so he's had to play him. I would be willing to bet you, if not for injuries and COVID, Mikkola would not have played half the games he's played. I just don't see that. Oh, and also in the Minnesota game, Talbot went out and Kakkonen came in.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
but they won. They won 8-2. They still took Talbot out.
I think he was hurt.
Oh, he got hurt. Okay. Wow. If the Blues win Thursday night, a win or a close game in this game will be forgotten. Maybe.
Yeah, and Guy and I have said it before and keep bringing those comments up. We don't like the Blues to lose, but when they play well and they give their best, hey, you did your best, you got beat. And Guy feels the same way.
That's what I talk about, a good loss. Right? This was not a good loss tonight. Right? You didn't show up. You didn't show up from puck drop. Right? You never showed up. You were destroyed in all 3 zones. The neutral zone, the most important zone, you allowed them to walk all over you. Over you in that neutral zone.
Yeah, and it's there's even in bad games, there's normally something good you can take out of that bad game to learn from it. There's normally something like, okay, let's say Thomas started actually putting pucks on the net instead of missing the net every time he puts the puck on net. That would be a positive, even though you lost. I didn't see any positives in this game at all.
Bushnevich on the penalty kill was, he had 3 shorthanded breaks?
Yeah, and that's got a lot to do with the way that Calgary was playing in their power play too. So, but Bushnevich wasn't bad, but I can understand why you'd say it was more of a positive. But I look at it and I cannot sit there and go, this player really played better. I wish the whole team could have played that well and they'd have won. I can't say that, and I know you can't.
Do you start Bennington if he gets shelled and the team is flat? Call Bennington time done. You know what, Chris? I don't know. I really don't know, and I'm perplexed. I got to be I actually see. I was waiting for someone else to bring.
Did you see that look on his face?
Oh yeah,
Bennington. He was not. I've had that look. That's not a. So, I'm happy with you guys. Look.
Have you ever watched Ted Lasso?
No, I haven't.
In season 2 of Ted Lasso, they're in the Europe Cup or the whatever the cup, where they put World all the Cup, teams, the champions, and they're in the Europe that cup, and they make it to the semifinal, and they get destroyed. I mean, they just get destroyed. So the next day, he goes, "Well, there's just a game. Sometimes it's just so bad that the only way you can watch it is at 3 times speed." With the Benny Hill theme playing behind it.
That's about what it was tonight.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I would do. Let's watch it at 3 times speed with Benny Hill playing.
And I can CGI the old man that used to be in the Benny Hill show that would run across in super speed. I'll just put him on the ice going like that. I like that, Jason.
There was one decit at the final horn. I'll take that. The Blues had to be hungover from lack of rest and playing last night and then traveling to Calgary. The only thing I could think of.
Well, in my mind, they didn't really expound a lot of effort because, they had very few shots yesterday.
Yeah.
It wasn't a tough game. Every game in the NHL is a tough game, but it wasn't like they were just beaten up and they took it to the last second to win the game.
Yeah.
It was one of those games where they won it, but they could have very easily lost it.
Bennington said, Berube said all that needed said, putting so in. The team was embarrassing Benny, and I'll agree there. Jason, I'm dead with you right there, buddy. Dead with you. I've had goalies look at me like that. You just duck and say sorry, and something stupid like it'll be better next time.
Yeah, because you have that look, and if they've played with you very many games, they know that look. After somebody scores Bennington and Husso does, they'll go out of the net and skate back around. And you can tell by the look a guy gives people if he's like, okay, that one's on me. Let's move to the next one. But if you get pounded, you can tell. I guarantee you, he was not happy going in between the second and third period. He wasn't happy he got pulled. He understood why. But nobody. I don't care if you're winning 7-0, losing 7-0. As a goaltender, it's your pride. You do not want to be pulled for any reason. Even if you're 3 games away from the playoffs and you're winning 5-0 and your coach wants to rest you, you do not want to come out of that game.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you.
But I understand why he did it. If I was Berube, I would really lay it heavy on them about how they played in front of him.
No, I would too. I mean, this is just one of those where you just got to look at it and go, okay, we just didn't have it. You know what? In an 82-game season, you're going to have 3 to 4 games like this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep.
Right? You're absolutely going to have 3 to 4 games like this. It happens all the time. I've seen it. You've seen it. I mean, I can't count how many games like this I've seen. But it is what it is, and you have to deal with it. I don't know what else to say. This is just the game that it was, and you put it and you go on from there. And that's all I got to say. I don't know what else you guys want to hear from me. I don't know what else to say. Bennington looked defeated when the camera hit him in the third on the bench, and I would look defeated too. And that's why I start Bennington. I agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. You have to out there.
You have to start getting back out there after a bad game, regardless of if it's his fault or not. And you lose games like this. You want to make an issue of it, but you don't want to make a huge issue of it because it is a long season. Now, if Bennington plays in the next couple games and plays 2 games in a row and they play the same way, then you might want to really start rethinking how you react to those players when they play in front of you. You don't want to make a huge deal of it, but you want them to know that they can't do this. They've got to play the same in front of both of their goalies.
I think I want Bennington to go into that locker room and just blow up. I want him to be, do I look nervous? Am I pissed off? I want him to be that guy. I would not mind right now if he went into a press conference and threw his team under the bus.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing.
Threw him under one.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. There's been games where they've not supported him well, and it's this season and over the last couple seasons. Since he's been with the team now and he's got to know people, he won't say a word to anybody afterwards because he's so pissed. He doesn't, and the team knows, the players know. Benny's in that mood. Stay away from him, so on and so forth. But like you said, you can be quiet and put it behind you. And I'm sure that's what he'll do. He doesn't hate anybody. But if it continues to happen with him, at least I would, in my mind, if I'm him, you let it go happen, because it happens at times. Sometimes guys will play well in front of you. But if it continues to happen, then you kind of got to bring it out. You have to bring it out.
Yeah, no, I do see it. I mean, you can't take anything good out of this game. A couple players had some good plays. But other than that, and sorry, my shoulder's bothering me a little bit. I still dealing with 19. Oh, by the way, I heard a pretty good COVID-19 joke.
What was it?
COVID-19 walks into a bar, goes to the bartender and says, "I'd like to have a beer." Bartender asks for his ID. He says, "I'm COVID-19. He says, "Nope, you got to be 21 to have a drink in here." Bad joke. Oh yeah. I think he needs to tear the D a new butthole. I agree. It's not just the D. It's everybody. Right? It's really everybody. That there are things that you looked at this game. First of all, and I don't blame the rest, but they were not calling the game fairly, and nobody can sit here and say that they were. There were trips that they missed. I mean, the trip they called on Barbashev was pure. I mean, I don't know how they did this. There was a game last season, and I remember this, where they called a trip on, and I want to say it was either Wallman or Bortuzzo. But then they went back and looked at it because somebody said that, no, it wasn't a trip, that Bortuzzo just lost his skates. Lost
his edge, yeah.
Right, lost his edge. Well, they went back and looked at it, or somebody said it. Somebody looked up at the big screen and said, okay, nope, no penalty. Well, how could you look at that? Like on because his skate was on the boards. Or it's not a skate. His stick was on the board ahead of the skate. The guy was falling down long before the stick got there. Right? That wasn't a trip whatsoever. And they let it go. I mean, there's some of these things that need to be, some of these penalties, they really do need to look at them. Really do, because they changed the course of a game. Now, did it change the course of this game? No, it didn't. But you took a defeated team and defeated them even more.
Yeah, it just, what you do is you go over the film tomorrow with the players. You know thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Where can you get that shirt at, Lance?
Go to Designed by Humans and look up the Drop Podcast or Drop Hockey Podcast, Designed by Humans, and it should show it on there. It comes from small to, and it's all in different colors, and some of the colors are available up to 4XL. Others are available up to 2XL. I think it's $18, $20, something like that.
Actually, something I was thinking of, Lance. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump on you there.
No.
But something I was thinking of is change. Our off night show called the Hockey Fan Report, changing it to the Drop Hockey Fan Report. Yeah, but I wanted to get your okay on that.
Think about that. I don't think there's any issue with it, but let me think about that. And but like I said,
I mean, that way it keeps your show alive too.
Yeah, that's fine. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Like I said, if you're coach, you definitely bring it up tomorrow. And if I was coach, I would, you can only do so much, like I said, with the CBA, but you do hammer some things home tomorrow with them. And, the pre-skate, and if you have one, which they will, before the game in Calgary, you kind of make sure everybody's in the right mindset and you move forward and you forget about it. But until you go through that film, this is the way I did it. And they'll say, oh, you got to forget about it from the moment you go off the ice in the third period. Well, you do in a way, but when you got to bring it up again the next day in meetings, you've got to go over why you lost the game. And that's going to be the key on how they respond on their next game. And I think that's going to be, if they come out and play with heart and take the lead, that means the game's behind them. If they fall down again, 3-0, 4-0, it means that they're still thinking about some things, and some other things need to be done. But, as a fan too, let's talk about the game, move on, look forward to the next game, because I don't see this happening again. At least not the next game.
Well, I don't see it happening and I mean, you're going to have a couple of these a season. You're going to have them. They're going to happen.
Ryan, you want to answer this one?
Well, it's pointed at me. Yeah. Right? It says, be a ref for once and see how hard it is. I get that. I really do get that. I completely understand that, but it's just so many times. And I've had Tim Peel on the show, and we disagree when it comes to refereeing. We absolutely do.
And Guy, there's now 4 guys in stripes now, and there used to be 3, and they've added an extra one. There's no reason to get calls wrong. There really isn't, with as many people as they've got there. The other night in the game that I went and saw against the Predators, the night of the number retirement, there was a guy standing right next to a Predators player, saw him do what he did, and it was the main ref, the head referee from center ice that called the penalty, and the guy next to the guy that did it didn't call it. There's no excuse to where you're going to make some mistakes, but those should be minimized with 4 people calling that game, and they need to have a meeting before the game on how they're going to approach the game.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see the linesmen have more of to be able to have more of a responsibility on penalties. Right? Now they can say that what a linesman can do, linesman can say on a penalty, and this is what happened in the one I was talking about. The linesman went back and said, no, I don't think he tripped. I think he lost an edge. And then and this was like the hand pass, right? If one of the linesmen had said, yeah, I saw that, then they could have, stopped and reviewed the play. But because nobody said they saw it, they couldn't review the play.
Well, here's the thing. And I talked to a former, very famous referee, and I'm not going to name him, but he said in that instance, when he watches it over again, there is a linesman right next to that goal watching that hand pass and watching it with both of his eyes right on the player. And he said what they should have done, they should have said, okay, this doesn't say in the rules we can't or cannot review this, so we're going to review it, because the rules are if there's a question.
Actually, the rules say you can review. They said you could review for a good hockey goal.
Yeah.
So it could have been reviewed.
It could have been.
But they decided
the refs were trying to say they couldn't.
Yeah, Toronto tried to say that they didn't want to institute that rule on that play.
Well, it decided the game. In that instance, you've got to institute the rule and have it read that way.
Now it is. They've gone back and fixed that.
Yeah.
I'd rather ruin the game to keep the speed up, to take time to get things right. It's all in the sport. I get that, Jason, and I'm not going against you. Jose says no, not a referee issue. I don't think there were any pass calls. There were some bad calls, right? But it is what it is. Maybe they need 5 rests per side on the ice. No, they don't need that. Come on. No, the league has it fine the way it is. Scoring plays are reviewable and nothing else. Okay, I'm okay with that. Not me, Guy. Okay, Jason. I get you. Jason's always about money and who makes how much.
Do you know what I'd like to see? And I know they'll never do it. If a penalty is called with 2 minutes left or less,
yeah,
then let's, it's got to be under certain. If the game is 7-1, no. But if the game is a tie game or a 1-goal game, and that is called with 2 minutes or less left, it should be reviewable by the refs. I don't want it reviewable in Toronto. I don't want them touching it. I want them to review it by watching it up on the screen and having, watching it there in the booth in the penalty box there where they can view it. Let them make the decision on the pad and go back and go, it was a tripping penalty, 2 minutes, whatever. But something's got to be done in important parts of the game. If it's 10 minutes of the first period and 0-0 and somebody has a questionable trip, let it go. I don't want everyone to be able to be
the trip
reviewed.
on the Bushnevich, or not the Bushnevich, Barbashev trip.
I think the Barbashev trip. The Barbashev trip
did
was
not trip him.
Yeah, the Barbashev trip was a questionable call, and then Guy and
he didn't trip him.
Guy and I both think and agree that trip on Mikola, it was a trip, and they didn't call it.
Yeah, right. And that was what led to the goal that broke the back, in my eyes. Right, to the person who said it's worth slowing the game. Get things right? Absolutely not. There are judgment calls. I get judgment calls. I do. I don't have a problem with judgment calls.
Well, and also, Mike,
you have four sets of eyes on the ice.
Sorry, guys, go ahead. And also, Mike, the thing about it is that in my mind, I don't always agree with Guy on calls, and Guy agrees this time. The refs didn't cost the Blues the game. The Blues cost the Blues the game, but there were a few questionable calls and non-calls. I do think that over a whole season, bad calls against you and good calls for you when you shouldn't get a power play, they almost even out, at least in my experience from playing. That's what it always seemed to me. It normally evens out. But in a close game, you've got a questionable call, and one ref calls it, the other three saw it and can make another judgment on it, and the other three come in and go, oh, you got that wrong, buddy. You got that wrong, Tim Pill. That wasn't tripping. That was not tripping. There should be something there when it's a part of the game that's important to where it can be reviewed. But like I said,
that's why I always thought, that's why I brought up with Tim Peel. And yes, I will bring his name because it was on the show.
Yeah, I remember.
I brought up where I thought they should have a fifth ref that was up in the press box looking down to see things like that, to, hey, stop, that was or wasn't. Well, let's look and talk about this real quick. Right. But that's why I brought that up. Now, Travis says, and I don't agree with this, and I don't want Travis to get mad at me. Oh, we need Alex Pietrangelo back. I don't think our defense is as bad as everybody thinks it is. Right. And Pietrangelo isn't the top defenseman on I mean, he's not the main guy with the Knights. Right.
I'm going to ask people one question. And I want you to answer this yourselves, people out there listening to this. How many Norris trophies did Alex Pietrangelo win when he was in St. Louis?
Yep.
How many has he won in his couple years in Vegas? There were a few times where he finished third, fourth in voting, I believe, but he's never won a Norris trophy. He's a good defenseman. He is a very good defenseman. Is he great and elite? Is he great enough to where he's a Bobby Orr or Chris Pronger if you put him on this team in their prime, where he's going to make a huge difference? No, not with the players they have right there. He's not going to, and people say this, well, if we had Alex Pietrangelo, we'd be beating Vancouver. No, he's not that type of player. He's just not. Did the Knights get so much better when he went to them? No. They're still a good team. He's a good defenseman, up to very good, but he's not Norris caliber. I don't care what anybody says. He's not the guy in my mind that deserves a statue or deserves his number retired. That's just me.
Well, I mean, Dante's Inferno brings up a great point.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Dante, I got a question to ask, and I'm thinking about writing a short story, and I want to use your last name in the story. I need your permission. So you can send me a message. There's one bad game. If people say we need Pietrangelo back, we had a hell of a season aside from one bad clunker, burn the tape and move on. Yeah, we're up to this point, we're on a pace for 110 points. One bad game doesn't kill that pace. We're still on a pace for 110 points.
Yeah, guys, we're not gloom and doom. We're just upset the way the Blues showed up in this game.
Yeah,
losses. You're going to have losses. A 7-1 loss to me is the same as a 4-1 loss if the Blues played hard. Now, if the Blues didn't play hard, that's what gets in our crawl, is when you can tell they just didn't seem like they wanted to be there. And it's not the end of the world. Like I said, they're one of the hottest teams in the league, but still you don't want to see a game like this.
Got a comedy workshop tomorrow, 6:15. Where's that at there, Jose? I may have to try and show up for that. Free comedy workshop so they can tell me how bad I am and not to show up anymore. It's not about one bad game. Haven't played good in front of the goalies a few games in a row. And I've seen that. I've seen that too. At Hawaiian Brian's. Okay. I'll try and show up. So there's no show tomorrow, I take it. It's not a show tomorrow? I don't know, Jason. Huso just had a shutout. You know what? Lance at 52 could have shut out Seattle in that game. Right?
I don't know at 52, but maybe in my 30s, I was good enough to get a win on that one. The older you get, the slower your reflexes are. But yeah, he wasn't tested a lot in that game. Not really.
No, he wasn't tested at all. I think he had one. So
yeah.
That's all I got to say there.
Ryan Green 5-0. Are you saying Huso's 5-0?
Say again?
What does Ryan Green mean by 5-0?
In his last 5. Huso's 5-0 in his last 5. I know that, but
it's like people look at save percentage. They look at goals allowed. They don't look at how a team plays in front of a goalie. Do you honestly think Martin Brodeur would have been one of the best goalies in the league for all those years, if not for number one, great defensemen such as Scott Stevenson, a great defensive scheme, and a great neutral zone trap? He probably would have still made the Hall of Fame, but he would not have been as good as he was without a good defensive team in front of him.
No, I'm with you there. And I like this comment. I miss having Joshua and Walker. They were pushing the other players to play harder. I will admit that we are missing some of that toughness on that fourth line. I mean, Costin looks like he's trying to bring it, but he's not bringing. I don't know if it's not bringing enough, or he's not getting support. And Jason said the trap makes goalies look really good. Well, that's what happened tonight with Markstrom. I thought that Calgary played a great trap. Calgary won all 3 zones. Right? They won all 3 zones. I mean, how many shots the Blues take in the first and the second? I think they took a total of like 7.
7 shots in the first, 2 in the second.
So 9 shots in the first 2 periods.
Yep.
Right? You're not going to win a game like that. You get outshot 48-21. Yeah, you're going to get outscored 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And 40 some odd shots, and they really didn't try hard in the third period. Calgary didn't, and they were still getting opportunities.
They had 13 shots in the third.
Yeah.
You give up 17, 18, and 13, you're going to get beat.
Yep.
Right? You're going to get beat, plain and simple. Now, this is a good point. I'll take that.
Yep. I agree.
Looks like he's trying not to take penalties, and that's because that's and I've even said it. That's a knock on him that he takes too many penalties.
Well, do you know why? Because Berube's on to him for his penalties. He wants him to play smarter, and I agree with Berube. You've got to play smart, know when to hit, and a good thing about a good tough guy, or a guy that can hit hard, or a guy that can fight, they know when to do things when they can get away with them. He hasn't quite learned that yet.
Lance, as a goalie, do you prefer getting peppered or the trap?
I prefer getting peppered.
Yeah,
because
you're into the game, right?
It gets, is it kind of nice sometimes to face 15 shots, 20 shots? Yeah, but you need enough to keep you into the game. Like the first 2 periods, the Blues had a shot every 5 minutes. I don't like that. Now, do I want 60 shots a game? No. But if they're playing well enough in front of you and they're attacking the offensive zone, they're going to get some good opportunities against you as a goalie. But for the most part, you're going to be able to make those saves because a lot of them are going to be normal saves. And I was just always that type of person. I'd rather face 35 shots than 10. I just would.
No, I'm with you, my friend. I'm absolutely with you. I feel your pain there. I feel all of it. I don't know what else to say. I'm beside myself. I don't know how else to handle it.
I don't think we're mad. I think we're just shocked because we knew Calgary was going to give them a hard time. I picked Calgary to win 4-3. I thought Calgary would probably beat them, but we didn't expect this shellacking. I think that's why we just don't. it's like we're just shocked. And I think most of you out there are shocked too, even though we know teams have these type of games. It's just the fact they got blown out. And it wasn't because they played hard and just got outplayed. It's because they didn't play hard at all.
Yeah. He has been drawing penalties this year. He has done a better job with that, but he still takes some that probably shouldn't take. Jason says, I agree. I'm just going back to the trap makes goalies look better than they are, like Marty B. Yeah, and I'm with you there.
And like I said, I love Martin Brodeur. It's just technically sound, a great goaltender. He would still be in the Hall of Fame even if not for the trap. But the trap,
I agree
the trap
with that.
did help him with his numbers. And I think if you ask him, he'd probably agree with you.
Well, hey man, we've got 10 people watching us, which is surprising, but I don't think I can talk about this debacle for another 30 minutes. So Lance, I'm gonna call it here, man. I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate everybody, being with us, talking to us, and enjoying the show. This is Guy for Lance and for Ashley saying aloha, mahalo, and we'll see you all on the Hockey Fan Report tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Aloha.